How's it going, guys? CrackedRack here, and as per usual, I'm doing another interview. This time I thought I would dip my toes into the, more degenerative space that, I was discussing that I would previously. Today we're going to be having an interview with a longtime furry who has seen a lot of, degenerate furry things. Just the general, stereotype of what you'd come to expect. This person has lived, or not lived, but, witnessed that life. And I'm here to interview him. So go ahead and introduce yourself for a second. Just say hi.
Hello. Today, my persona that I'll be using is Anonymous. That is what you shall know me as.
Okay, cool. So I guess I'll just, jump right into the questions. So as you guys know, or you may not know this, but I like to start off with the boring, slow questions, and then I like to, as time progresses, get into the more extreme and serious stuff. So we're going to start out slow, go more serious. It'll get more interesting as it goes on. So question one, what is your name? And you don't have to give it if you don't want to, but, what is maybe like a first name or a nickname or something? But you don't have to give it if you don't want to.
Just call me Anonymous. Just call me Anonymous, although my actual personas have switched between Tanuki, Fox, Demon, Dragon, Creature, and more recently I've also adopted a tiger.
Okay.
Today I've adopted a mouse.
Okay, cool. How old are you?
I am currently in my late 20s.
Late 20s,
Almost
so
30.
Like 28, 29.
Around there, let's go with that.
That's usually the age I've noticed a lot of furries are.
That does seem about right.
Where are you located?
Although
like state? Oh, yes,
vary.
yes. What were you gonna say?
They do. The age ranges do vary. I've seen people as low as like early high school to gray muzzles in their 60s and even 70s.
Okay, and a grand muzzle is an older furry, I'm guessing.
Furry that is 40. A gray muzzle is a furry that is 40 or over.
Okay. Where are you located state-wise?
Actually, it's province-wide. I'm in Ontario.
That's Canada, right?
Indeed, it is.
Okay. What are your general hobbies?
I am ultimately a gamer and anime fan. Big media whore. I like all of my TV shows, my comic books. Huge fan of like strategy games like Stellaris, Crusader Kings, and XCOM. Also done a fair bit of furry bowling in the past.
I see. What's furry bowling?
Where as many people as possible dress up in fursuits, tails, ears, and we bowl and have a great time.
Okay. And is that something you do frequently, or engage in with like a group?
Nah, well, COVID kind of killed it. The group sort of fell apart even before that.
A lot of in-drama?
But just people moving away for the most part. But yeah, we did have a falling out with one guy. He's just a massive asshole. Not much more to it than that.
Are there a lot of assholes in the community?
Yeah, there absolutely are assholes, predators, con artists. It's actually a big problem. For example, artists have ghosted me when I commissioned them for something. That's why I don't have a fursuit.
And why do you commission this? What do you commission this art? Is it just for a personal like pleasantry? Like, is that the purpose?
Well, I've commissioned like various badges for conventions, so people know who I am of my like main persona. Because furries don't really use their own actual names ever. They just use their persona name. This is the thing I find about the furry community that's kind of like a red flag for it's basically a cult. And yeah, changing your identity, that's like the first strike of whether or not it's a cult. But that is one of the reasons I like it.
So you can be honest about this because you're anonymous. You are engaging in fantasy maybe to like escape a real life situation. Maybe?
Yeah, I think it's to escape my absolute crippling introversion. I almost never leave the house, or my room for that matter.
I see. Okay. And do you think that's the result of a mental illness, or do you think that's just a personality?
I think I actually do have schizotypal, though I'm not 100% sure.
And the schizotypal, for the people that aren't familiar, I'm pretty sure that's where you don't really feel anything or you don't like react to anything socially, right?
No, that's schizoid. Schizotypal is the eccentric and unusual behaviors, but they tend to be more introverted as well.
Okay. Okay. So how did you get introduced to the furry fandom, and at what age and when? Like what year?
About 17, I was interested in a comic called Two Kinds. This is a little interesting bit of trivia. If you've ever watched Markiplier on YouTube, his brother is actually the author of that comic book. It sort of takes place in a fantasy world where there is humans, but there's also the Kedron or Kiedron. It's kind of hard to really see how that's supposed to be pronounced, but I basically got really obsessed with this comic for a little bit and a few other furry comics, and eventually that led me to DeviantArt, which led me to fan art, which led me to fan service. So before that, I was on Fur Affinity, and I discovered that one of my friends was also into the fur groups around here. They introduced me to a little party that was going on to fundraise for a restaurant, which unfortunately fell through. But before I knew it, I had the only real best friend I ever had, and the rest is history, and I became a furry.
Do you regret joining the fandom now that you have, hindsight on it?
Absolutely not. The only social life I've ever really had is a direct result of the furry fandom.
Okay.
So I'd say this is actually the best thing to ever happen to me, honestly.
Okay. So you don't think you would have friends or like a life or any passion without the furry community?
I would not. I do not seem to fit well into society for some reason.
Okay.
I only seem to really fit well in the furry fandom.
Can you describe your build? I'm curious. You don't have to, but what is your...
I'm a big guy. I'm actually quite overweight. I'm very tall, bit imposing.
Okay. How do you dress on a day-to-day occasion?
Pretty plain, actually. I don't usually... I don't like wearing things with logos on them.
Okay.
Unless it's a furry, meme or something.
Okay.
Even then, I don't have many of those shirts left.
Would you consider and this might be a rude question, but I'm just trying to get information. Would you consider yourself hygienic, or do you not really care about that kind of, stuff?
No, that is a very valid question to ask a furry. I am extremely hygienic. There isn't a day that goes by I don't enjoy a shower.
Okay. So I'm guessing.
But Lord knows some furries don't.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's probably a lot of unhygienic furries, huh? That aren't.
You won't believe the amount of people I've found that either have a fetish for a body odor or for shitting their pants and walking around the con floor.
What do you think the cause of these strange fetishes is? Is it childhood trauma, or?
I think for some of them that's absolutely the case. I think another one is just bizarre pornography, of which there's a lot of in the furry fandom, and I mean really out there stuff. That example I made about shitting their pants, a lot of people are into ABDL stuff in the furry fandom. I am too, but not to that extent.
What was the appeal of the fandom to you initially?
It just genuinely seemed like fun, although the very first time I heard about it was actually on an episode of 1,000 Ways to Die. In that episode, there's a furry orgy, which is... I'm going to level with you here. They do happen, but it's not going to happen in the middle of the fucking desert with everyone wearing a fursuit.
Have you ever been to a furry orgy?
That was so stupid. I was 13 or 12 when that episode... I'm sorry, what?
Have you ever been to a furry orgy?
An orgy, sadly, no. I actually don't like having sex at all. I am still a virgin quite happily.
Okay. So, if, for example, a really hot woman or a really, attractive male tried to have sex with you, you would reject that?
I have rejected that, actually. Although I came close on one occasion, it just fell through.
Okay. So, but, maybe do you see sex as, a dirty act, or, gross, or you don't like the smell, or...
That's getting a little personal, but basically, I just don't think I would like intercourse, and even then, I'm basically what would be called an aegosexual. I like to see, I don't like to partake. It just doesn't look like something I'd enjoy. It looks like it'd be painful or chafing and gross, and I'm also a bit of a germaphobe.
I was going to ask you, are you heterosexual or homosexual or transgender or?
I am aegosexual. It is largely male leaning, but I do like boobs.
Okay. And you said there's a lot of STDs in the fandom. Is that what you were about to say?
Oh yeah, quite infamously, there's this meme going around of like this chart of this one furry. I forget what his name is. He's a British fur who basically gave HIV to a few different people, and then all these people openly admitted to having sex with these other furries, and it just goes on and on and on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty big problem to be aware of. There's a reason there's HIV testing at the cons.
Okay. Well, now we're gonna get into the disturbing questions or the bad questions. Have you ever witnessed or been
The
in
fun
a
part.
Yeah, have you ever witnessed or been in a circle of anyone who has committed sexual abuse or pedophilia?
Okay, so there isn't a fur con I've gone to where I haven't met a new fur, briefly had a little chat with them, and found them delightful, and then like a few weeks later they get busted for something. My first con I went to, there was this guy named RC Fox who was there. He was actually a really well-known furry DJ. I took a picture of him in his fursuit because I thought it was cool. He flipped me off. I left. I know. And a few months later, he was busted for having about 50 images of wild corn, you know what I mean, on his hard drive.
Yeah. Child pornography.
I don't like saying it. I don't like saying it.
I get it.
He actually killed himself
Wow.
after taking a plea deal. Yeah, the good fucking riddance.
So he was just a bad person all around, like rude, not even just as a pedophile, just like a rude person, and then he was a pedophile on top of it.
I don't know much more. I don't know much more about him than that. But apparently, he associated with a bunch of other furs who've been slowly getting busted over the years. Another fur that I really idolized actually was Don't Hug Cacti. They haven't been well, actually specifically Blonde Foxy, because Don't Hug Cacti is like a husband-wife team. They're a fursuit maker. I really idolized them back in the day because their fursuit construction was really cool. Turns out Lucky Coyote, the wife of the husband-wife team, groomed someone online, and on top of that is a zoophile.
I see. And zoophilia is the act of having sex with animals, murdering them, doing all sorts of vile acts, right?
It's more specifically, zoophilia is an attraction to animals, bestiality is the act of raping them, and zoosadism is the act of killing them for sexual pleasure. But yeah, we have problems with all three of them in the fandom, if I'm being honest.
So just a lot of creeps that, serial killers, basically.
I've never I've never heard any stories of an actual serial killer in the fandom. Although there was Polybun. Polybun was what I like to call the diaper-wearing terrorist of the furry fandom. At least one of them. He was a right-wing extremist furry who was also really into ABDL for some reason. Who shot a member of a BLM protest in the face, a woman who was in a wheelchair. Absolute scum of the earth. I think he's been sentenced to 2 different life sentences over that. And of course, there's Connie Lupine, who was also arrested for threatening to kill Kamala Harris, another diaper-wearing terrorist. And then there's of course Tech Coyote.
Could you explain what a diaper terrorist is?
Oh, that's just mostly a term I use for these really weird trend of right-wing, sex-crazed furries. Largely the ones in the Furry Raiders group, which is this radical, sovereign citizen Nazi hybrid group of pedophiles, if that makes any sense.
That makes sense.
It's like 3 of the worst things ever, all rolled into one, under the leadership of some creep named Foxler Nightfire, who, no joke, dresses with a Nazi armband with a swastika replaced with a paw print. He is one of the most disgusting people in the fandom by far, and I'm delighted to say I've never bumped into him. It's really weird that this even exists, because the furry fandom is kind of known for having a lot of left-wing extreme people. Lots of hair dye. Hair dye is very popular in the fandom.
I can imagine. Do you think that I would do well in the furry community if I decided to turn over a new furry leaf?
Well, that's the best part. We'd never know who you are. You'd probably be in a suit the whole time, adopt a new identity. You'd be a new you. I actually still have this friend, but he met this guy at a FurryCon, who I'm not going to say the name of because his furry name is so generic that he actually has the exact same furry name as another fur who's done nothing wrong, so I'm just not going to say it. Right off the bat, this guy tells him that he's a sex offender, but because of the language barrier, this happened in Quebec, I guess there was a misunderstanding. The two like a relationship and stuff, and then eventually he figured it out a bit more, but was okay with it at first because he was out on bail and just about to go to jail, then he'd be out of jail. I did meet this guy, and honestly, I didn't know till later on that he was a sex offender, but honestly, he gave off some weird vibes. Like I kind of figured something was up. Like he wasn't gonna go to the movie theater or talk to me online because he couldn't.
Because he's not allowed around
if you wonder
children.
what he did, yeah, what happened was he sent his dick to a minor and was grooming him. But what he told my friend was that he didn't realize the minor was underage because Canada has like a really convoluted mistake of age defense. That was a lie. He knew exactly what he was doing, and when my friend found that detail out from his accomplice who messaged him, he flipped out and basically in this whole like argument they had, he actually confessed to doing it even before that, and we basically cut off all contact. And the thing is, he's probably just gonna adopt a new persona and like come back, and it'll be like it never ever happened. There's no sex offender registry publicly available in Canada, so it's not like anyone's gonna like know his face anyway. But this will make it even harder to cut him out, because it's just adopt a whole new identity very easily within the fandom.
Yeah. Okay. We need to, speed it up a little bit here, but what is the worst thing you've ever seen in the furry fandom?
Oh, that's easy. That would be the Kiro the Wolf leaked chat log that happened in 2018. Kiro the Wolf was a relatively well-known fursuiter who did an interview with Shane Dawson back in the day. But shortly, like a few months afterward, someone named Pseudonym leaked a Telegram chat from this guy named Snake Thing, and it was basically him, Kiro, and a few others talking about raping puppies, and you get the idea, with their corpses and all sorts of other terrible stuff.
Okay.
I've seen like several documentaries that have shown this chat log and some of the less disturbing imagery, which was still too much. Like, we're talking about a guy who put honey on a stick, covered the stick in fire ants, and you get the idea with a puppy.
Yeah. So they were they like masturbating to this in a circle, or?
Yeah. They were masturbating. They were talking about conspiring to do this to children. It was horrible. Like, this whole documentary that showed the leaks that Cecil McFly put out, and it just goes
what's the worst
on, like,
thing you've seen?
Worst...
What's the worst thing you've seen personally, though, like in your circles or your?
Personally within my circles? Oh, okay, I see what you mean. I thought you meant in the fandom as general. Oh, well, that would be a book that was on sale at Fernal Equinox the first time I went. Although I didn't realize how bad it was until I did some research on it. I just saw the title there. It was called Man's Best Friend with Benefits. I just thought this was like some sort of TF comic. It is not. It is a straight-up bestiality comic they had on sale right there on the con floor. It was written by Caballero and illustrated by Jay Sonafex, who is basically persona non grata in the furry fandom now. I bought a Daki Makura with one of the characters on it because I didn't think much of it. I didn't read into this. Then when I get home from the con, I look up the artist, and I found the comic.
And these books are just available for anyone. They're just available for anyone to purchase.
Yeah, but just out on the con floor. Children could probably pick this up if they weren't looking. That's pretty bad, if I'm being honest.
So these fur cons don't really sound like safe places for children.
Well, I think this was done without the con staff knowing. Like, usually the porn is hidden in like black books that say 18 plus on it, but I have a feeling people have turned their back on that a few times. But honestly, for the most part, the con floors are relatively safe.
Okay.
Like, the real concern I have is with minors going online and joining the furry fandom, because there is a lot of grooming and stuff going on.
Yeah.
Infamously, there was hypnotist Sappho, who is...
And grooming is
grooming.
Grooming is basically convincing a naive child to engage in sexual acts with an adult, right?
Or an animal, which is exactly what Sappho was doing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that bad.
Would you consider yourself a good furry, a degenerative furry, or an in-between? Just morally ambiguous.
Well, considering how far one of those directions are, I'd say, yeah, I'm a pretty good furry. I don't engage in stuff like cub porn uh, fer- or feral or anything like that. Those that's disgusting. And cub is actually illegal.
Okay.
My fetishes would more be directed towards stuff like TF vor and basically more and just benign stuff like that. Not the really disgusting illegal degenerate crap that is unfortunately polluting the fandom.
Okay. And do you have any weird fetishes?
Well, there's vor, which is a fetish for being eaten alive. I don't know how that came to be. I really liked Jurassic Park when I was younger. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Okay. As a veteran of the fandom, who is the most uncomfortable, not necessarily illegal or evil, but just uncomfortable person you've experienced?
Okay, story time again. At another convention, we had this After Dark icebreaker, where we'd say we were interested in something, and anyone else who was also interested in that would pitch in with this little poker chip thing. I said I was into, say, lactation, vor, and just everyone else would agree with me. And then it rolled into this one guy who was sitting next to me, and he's like, I don't want to say what it is because I'm scared of getting kink shamed. And I'm like, oh, don't worry. I just said I was into watching cows getting milked. What could you possibly say? And he's like, cub? Yeah, he's just a straight up pedo, and he just admitted it right there.
Okay. Have you ever gotten into any... did you get bullied?
Made friends. I did not get bullied. No one at school really knew about it, except a few sort of close friends. But it was just mild teasing. It was nothing to really worry about. I was bullied long before that, back when I was in elementary school.
For just, like,
Catholic
social awkwardness?
School. Oh, very much so. Like I said, I was extremely introverted and hated staying after school, so all the after-school activities were just not my thing.
Okay. So have you ever had any family conflict as a result of your affiliation, like parental disapproval, or,
Oh, my dad still doesn't know about it. He probably wouldn't ever understand it anyway, so I'm just keeping him in the dark. My mother knows. I explained it well to her. She's pretty accepting. My sister does not like furries. Not much more to it than that.
Okay.
She doesn't really get it. I think the only time I ever felt a little bit of disapproval was when I was in college and I mentioned it, and there's this one guy, one of those people who's like really big into 4chan, and he was like, oh, I can't believe you're one of them! He's one of them!
That sounds really embarrassing. He's more embarrassing than you could ever be.
Oh, he was super cringy, make no mistake about it.
What is a day in the life like for you?
Oh, well, I go to work, and as soon as work's done, I pop on to Discord, and I see who wants to do some vor RP. Safe for work vor RP, but vor RP nonetheless. Always.
So you don't even get sexual gratification from it. You just enjoy the technical
Vor
aspects.
is more of like a relaxing sort of thing. I've absolutely enjoyed vor porn, mind you. Straight up addicted to it.
Vor, for those who aren't aware, is when you it's when like an animated character eats another animated character and becomes kind of like, I suppose, like pregnant with their body. Would you say that's accurate?
Or being dissolved by it, or being like eaten by a T-Rex, like in first person. That's my favorite. Yeah. So like, I really like doing like vor RP. I've done that a few times recently. Other than that, I like playing D&D.
Okay.
Always play for some sort of Vulpin or Tabaxi sort of character. If not, just play Druid.
Okay. Would you recommend... Oh, wait. I forgot to ask. What do you do for work? Like, what's your general job title?
It's just... That might be too much personal information, but all I feel like comfortable saying is that's an office job.
Okay, so
boring,
just an average
work at home office job.
Okay.
Yeah, it's average.
Would you recommend young children get into this community or avoid it, knowing what you know now?
If it's just going to the con to see the fursuits, maybe get a fursuit for Halloween, that's fine. Enjoy your Zootopia. If it involves touching a keyboard and going to Discord, you're doing it wrong.
Discord's a very dangerous place for children. I think it should be 18+. What is your political compass?
I'd say I'm actually really far left. I support Justin Trudeau, despite the blackface. I I don't really like conservatives at all. I kind of disapprove of the tough on crime stance that Harper had. Um, and oh my God, do I despise Trump. Like the American style of politics, I hate it when it bleeds into Canada. I really prefer when like Europe's values bleed into Canada more. I'd say the one thing that really bothers me is people who are in the fandom who are just downplaying how significant the sexual part is. There isn't a furry website that exists that I am aware of that doesn't have some sexual aspect to it. Every con has some sort of almost every con has some sort of after dark element or baby fur party involved. And at the same time, it really bothers me that the people who are criticizing the fandom go for stupid shit like the litter box hoax. No, if you want to criticize the fandom, criticize the actual grooming that's happening online.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it seems mostly harmless if you're an adult, but it doesn't seem like children should get anywhere near it, honestly.
No, absolutely not. Oh, and as a side note, I completely agree with your statement you made about E621 in your top 10 worst websites video. Yes, absolutely, that place should be nuked off the face of the internet.
Yeah.
I don't feel any need to get a fursuit. A lot of them feel like that's a rite of passage. For me, it just feels like that just looks like you're wearing a sauna, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it doesn't look comfortable at all. And especially having like sex in the uniforms, I can only imagine how gross that would be.
Uh, yeah, they do that, but usually it's just like they're wearing the head. The head, like I've seen some fursuit porn, wearing like the head or the paws. Like that's about it. I've had friends who have done it, and they said, it's more of a novelty than a fetish.
Well, I think that's gonna wrap it up, honestly. Thank you for coming on here today and giving your perspective on these situations.
Thank you, CrackedRack.
And if you guys liked this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and know that if you would like an interview and you're an interesting person or you have some kind of disturbing or strange story to tell me, you can add me on Discord at CrackedRack, hashtag 9887. So that'll do it for today. That's all. See ya.